This is One-on-One. Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. Welcome to the Tisch WNET studio here in the heart of Lincoln Center, New York City. It is my honor, my pleasure. Back by popular demand, we have Mia Toschi, and she is a contributing author and photographer on a wonderful book called Surviving Sandy, the superstorm that reshaped our lives. This is a big, powerful, and important book, right? What is the book about, and why'd you write it?
Well, the reason why we put this together was to not only, this was a historic storm, first of all, we're focused probably more on the New York, New Jersey area, but if you look at Haiti, that lost 30% of its crops. This storm traveled from Haiti all the way up here and did so much devastation. So it was historic in nature. Number two, we wanted to highlight some of the wonderful heroes, whether it was the police chief down in Seaside Heights who saved 36 people, or the staff from Jenkinson's Aquarium who stayed the night to save all the animals there. I mean, there were real true stories of heroism, but what we really wanted to do was help pay it forward. This book, 100% of the proceeds are being donated to charities that are dedicated to the ongoing relief efforts. And so far, we're very happy to say that we have given away 5 $1,000 checks, and we're going to be focusing on some of the individuals who are in need in the next coming weeks.
It's so interesting. We're doing this show as we move into spring of 2014. The show will be seen after as well in repeats. For so many, Hurricane Sandy is so far behind them in their minds, but for so many who are not in their homes, not back in their businesses, they can continue to suffer and struggle. When you talk to those folks, do they think we've forgotten them?
Absolutely. I always use the reference that you go west of Pennsylvania and Sandy is a long forgotten memory. If you go down to the Jersey Shore, you go over to Long Beach, New York, or Breezy Point, or any of these places in this area, not too far from these studios. I mean, you can travel, you're there in an hour.
Describe Breezy Point. I'm sorry for interrupting. Describe Breezy Point, because everyone heard Breezy Point, but they had no idea how devastating it was.
I'll tell you, a lot of folks that I've spoken to outside the area, and I'm prefacing it with one little point, often say, well, it's New York, they have money, they can rebuild. But Breezy Point was an area that was, if you look at the people there, they're hardworking. Absolutely.
Firemen,
a lot of police officers.
cops.
Yep, exactly. And so many of these people couldn't get back into their homes. And I would probably say, and it's very hard to give the estimate, there's tens of thousands of people still out of their homes, but these were permanent homes. These weren't vacation homes. So, I mean, it's just still so devastating.
Do this for me. As a photojournalist, we're going to run some pictures, put them up there. I'm going to ask you to describe what you see. Let's shoot them, folks. Put them up. What are we looking at?
This is an area in Long Beach, New York. You can see that the cars are underwater. This was about 3 blocks away from the ocean, so you can see how far that water traveled. That's about 2-3 feet, and that probably was actually at the lower point.
Keep going, team.
This was one of the boardwalks. This was over in a portion of Seaside Heights, and this, you can just see how strong that storm surge was just to break the boards in half. And those boards, by the way, had been there for years.
And by the way, add on top of that, we were just down there over the summer, the fire on top of the boardwalk that makes it even worse. What
Absolutely.
are we seeing now?
This is Staten Island. This is one of the photos. You couldn't believe Staten Island. They really actually probably had the most damage and the most loss of life. But this was just one picture. You can see the vacation fund, just so many personal items. And when you would walk through and people were just picking up, I mean, as a TV reporter, I've covered fires. And you sometimes go and, your heart breaks because these people have lost everything. You were walking up and down the blocks seeing thousands of people who lost everything. And so it is far, far from over. I know that we've heard from some elected officials that have said, we're back in business. I totally understand that you need to say that to get the dollars back down there. Absolutely, completely, 100% agree. And I would encourage everybody to spend the time in any of these areas. However, it is still an enormous work in process.
Let's take a look at some of the firefighters, because they're such an important part of this. What are we seeing?
This was another area. This was just outside of Breezy Point as firefighters were trying to get their way through there. Many of them had to wade through waters. And when they came back home, a lot of them, because they lived in these working class neighborhoods, they came home and didn't have a home. So it was a double whammy for them.
Tell me about one of the firefighters. Is fascinating. Is it Kinga Milne?
Kinga Milnick, yeah. It's probably my favorite story because it was a happy story to some extent.
One of the few.
One of the few. She's a FDNY firefighter for 8 years with the FDNY. Fabulous lady. Gave birth to her third son.
Is that her?
That's her, with Adrian Storm, the little boy, and she named her son, her third son, Adrian Storm.
Adrian Storm.
And so he'll obviously be 2 on October 29th.
When was he born?
October 29th, the night of the storm.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. She's an incredible lady. Her house was completely gone.
Completely gone.
Completely gone. It has since been rebuilt, and she got back in about 14 months later.
And this baby.
He's absolutely adorable. Absolutely adorable.
It's so interesting. You know, for so many, as I said before, people want to move on. And for so many of these folks, they can't. And we'll talk about it being a home or being a business as if it's just infrastructure or brick and mortar or pictures. You can replace pictures. It's not that. It's the emotional, psychological, the deep wounds, the scars. And I don't think we can appreciate or understand it. It's so interesting because for some of us, we're like, oh yeah, we have a second home down the shore. We're going to build a home. We got to rent down the shore. That's not what we're talking about here. Mm-hmm. That is not what we're talking about. We are talking about people for whom right now we're going on 18 months.
18, yeah.
18 months. They have no sense of when they're going to be back in their homes, which means they're not living their lives.
And that anxiety that they have just continues to grow because, like you said, they don't have answers. I wrote the tribute in the book, and I interviewed a lady by the name of Colleen Verrill, who was from Lavallette, New Jersey. And
what's her name again?
Colleen Verrill.
From our hometown down the shore is Lavallette, a great town.
Yep, it's a great town.
And the town next to it, Orly Beach, has been devastated.
Yeah, I have probably 10 friends that lost homes there.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No. But she said it, she goes, you know, we celebrated 46 anniversaries there, 28 birthdays, communions, and she just kept going on, and it's where you welcomed the warm, hot air and said goodbye to every summer, but yet it was always a part of your life, and that's a big part of everybody's lives. So we do say that for every one of the reasons why we did do the book is so that we can help some of these. Not only the foundations, but the individuals.
What impact has the book had on you as a person?
As a reporter, it's really funny.
Can you distance yourself?
I have distanced myself. I covered 9/11. I've covered the tsunami in Southeast Asia. I've covered AIDS in South Africa. I've been all over the world. I've seen some pretty awful stuff. I mean, obviously, I'm a native New Yorker also, grew up on West 23rd Street. When you saw 9/11, I guess in a certain way, you're counting your friends and those who lost people. This time it was the people that lost houses, so it wasn't quite as devastating. But I think you always come back and you say, what got me through? And I think it's always the when people come together, and we always have that expression with the foundation that I also work with, 912 Generation Foundation, that what we do is about 912. And I think this really translates to Sandy.
Day.
Yeah. When you
what do we do after?
Look at all the volunteers that came from all over the world to help us here. We're far from over from rebuilding, but I met a group of students from Saudi Arabia.
Who are those people?
This is a group.
And then you go back to Saudi Arabia. Who are they?
This is Hutch Ryder. He was one of the gentlemen right in the front in the left. He lost his house in Staten Island. He's a firefighter, and this was a group. In fact, I think the boy up there in the second row, he was one of the kids from Saudi Arabia. We've got a couple of Merrill Lynch folks and a couple of folks from New York says thank you also.
Yeah, what do you do the day after you try to rebuild, right? So the Saudi Arabia folks, you were saying?
Just amazing just to see people that came from Saudi Arabia or school groups from Virginia. I mean, they came from all over the country, and that was really, that's inspiring.
Real quick before I let you go, who else was involved in this project?
The students from Pascack Valley Learning Center.
Yeah.
It really was kind of their
Great
idea.
Story.
And they are from the tri-state area, so they come from Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey, and they basically said, we want to do something. one of their parents was able to obtain some funding, which was pretty miraculous, and ambient funding, I guess you would say, came to the rescue. And because of my work with children and as a journalist, they sort of contacted me, and I was very, very happy to do so, and it's been a wonderful journey.
And the proceeds are going, in fact, to people who need help, organizations
Absolutely.
that are out there. Mia, I want to thank you for joining us once again here on One-on-One from Lincoln Center. Come back anytime. Surviving Sandy, the superstorm that reshaped our lives. Thank you. Keep doing important work.
Great to see you. Thank you.
Stay with us. We're right back right after this from Lincoln Center.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the CAUCUS Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by Barnabas Health, St. Peter's University, United Water, Qualcare Inc., New Jersey's Credit Unions, Johnson & Johnson, and by the law firm of Gibbons PC. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.